Hi kids, thanks for tuning in. We're not going to review your I stuff today. You're going to take your spelling test today. Good luck. I hope you studied and prepared yourself for it. Um, let's look at our vocabulary words. Kidnapping, to take somebody against their will. Okay, so obviously Sammy has been kidnapped in this story. Investigate, the actual work of looking to solve the clues. Okay, so our friends are trying to investigate Sammy's kidnapping. Resolution, how it all finishes up and gets solved and ends up in the end. Twist. All right, remember, a twist is something something that we don't expect. The author uses it to make the story more interesting. Today we're going to add the word persistent. Say that again. Persistent. Persistent means that you keep going at something no matter what. For instance, you have to be persistent when you're learning to read. Dink and his friends are not giving up their search. They're being very persistent. They're sticking with it. Maybe if you wanted a special toy from the store, you might ask your mom and dad over and over and over again. You're very persistent because you really want it. All right, today we're going to continue with The Kidnapped King by Ron Roy. We're going to read chapter 10 today. Just then, Pal began growling and biting at Mr. Linkletter's left shoe. "What on earth?" Mr. Linkletter said, pulling his foot away. But Pal wouldn't give up. Using his paws and teeth, he tried to pull Mr. Linkletter's shiny black loafer right off his foot. Now, I have to stop here and self-monitor because it doesn't make sense. Pal has never growled or barked, so that's not his personality. So there must be something really important about the shoe. All right, let's read to find out. "Joshua," Mr. Linkletter said, "please teach your dog some manners." "Take it off," Ruth Rose suddenly said. Mr. Linkletter glanced down at Ruth Rose. "I beg your pardon?" "I think I know what Pal wants," she said. "Please take off your shoe." Mr. Linkletter let out a big sigh. "Very well, if it will bring peace." The tall man leaned over and removed his left shoe. He showed it to Pal. And here's a picture of Mr. Linkletter taking off his shoe and showing it to Pal. "There, satisfied?" he asked. Pal grabbed the shoe in his mouth and dropped it at Josh's feet. "I was right," Ruth Rose yelled. She picked up the shoe and held it upside down. On the sole, stuck to a wad of gum, was a piece of shiny yellow glass. "The dog was after a nasty piece of gum?" Mr. Linkletter asked. "No," Dink said. "That piece of glass is from Sammy's kaleidoscope. This means the kidnappers brought Sammy here to the hotel." "Donald, you're giving me a headache," Mr. Linkletter said, taking his shoe back. He pulled the gum off and slipped the loafer back on his foot. "Who is Sammy? What kidnappers?" Dink told Mr. Linkletter about Sammy's disappearing from his bed. Then he explained about Joan Clinker's French lesson, Sammy's kaleidoscope, and the trail of yellow glass. "Now my mom's missing too," Dink said, "and I think Joan Clinker kidnapped them both. She might be keeping them up in her room." Dink," Josh said. "Officer Fallon said Sammy was taken away in a boat. How could he be in the hotel and in a boat at the same time?" "I don't know," Dink said, "but I still want to check out Joan Clinker's room. That piece of glass on your shoe proves Sammy was here." Mr. Linkletter sighed and set down his half-eaten donut. "Very well," he said. "Mrs. Clinker has room 301. I'll take you up there, but you must be very quiet. Our guests don't expect crowds of children parading about the halls." He looked down at Pal. "But the hound has to stay down here. The Shangri-La does not permit animals upstairs." "But he can smell stuff," Josh said. "We need him." Mr. Linkletter looked at Pal's big brown eyes. "Oh, all right. What's one more broken rule at this point?" The kids and Pal followed Mr. Linkletter into the elevator. When it stopped on the 3rd floor, they all walked quickly to room 301. A man in a white uniform was pushing a cart full of linens down the hall and around the corner. Mr. Linkletter unlocked the door and pushed it open. Joan Clinker's bed was made, and 2 suitcases stood on the floor. "Do your thing," Josh whispered into Pal's ear. Pal walked in a wide circle, sniffing the carpet. Suddenly, he made a beeline for the closet and began scratching at the door. Josh opened the closet door and Pal rushed in. Dink noticed that the closet was empty. Joan Clinker had packed everything. "What's in there, boy?" Josh asked, getting down on his hands and knees. While Pal and Josh searched the closet floor, Dink and Ruth Rose looked under the bed and in the bathroom. Suddenly, Josh backed out of the closet. "Look what Pal found," he cried. In his hand, he held a small piece of yellow glass. "You were right, Dink," Ruth Rose said. "Sammy must be in this room." Just then, Pal raced from the room with his nose to the floor. The next thing they heard was Pal barking and growling. Everyone followed him just in time to see Pal attack the white linen cart. He bit at the side of the cart and he tried to pull it back along the floor. The man in the white uniform pushed the cart in the other direction. "Get out of here, Mutt," the man yelled, kicking at the dog. That wasn't a good idea. Pal grabbed the man's pant cuff in his teeth and began thrashing and growling. "Pal, no!" Josh shouted. He pulled Pal away, but the hound was still barking at the man. Mr. Linkletter looked at the man. "Who are you?" he asked. "Just collecting the laundry," the man said, glaring at Pal. Mr. Linkletter pointed to the words stitched in the man's shirt. "But we don't use Ace Laundry Service," he said. Suddenly, the man bolted for the elevator, but he tripped over Pal's leash and fell on his face. Mr. Linkletter moved spryly and sat on the man's back. "What are you doing in this building?" he demanded. "I ain't talking," the man mumbled with his face in the carpet. "Help me, guys," Dink said, grabbing the side of the cart. With a solid yank, the kids toppled it over. A mountain of sheets and towels piled out onto the floor. In the bottom of the cart lay Sammy, tied and gagged. Whew, they're going to leave us hanging again. That's where we're going to stop. We're getting close to the resolution. I can feel it. Okay, so who is Donald? Well, Donald is obviously Dink's real name, and that's how Mr. Linkletter addresses him. When Dink told Mr. Linkletter all the details about the mystery, do you think that's when Mr. Linkletter finally decided that, yeah, they could go upstairs and they could take the dog and break the rules because he understands how serious this is? Now, why is the boat still a problem? Because obviously Sammy can't be taken away on a boat and at the Shangri-La at the hotel at the same time. So we have to work that out. We have to figure it out. Again, the yellow glass is still important because they find another clue at the hotel. Actually, 2 more clues. And now, who do you think the laundryman is? Well, Sammy was in the cart, so is he the kidnapper? We don't know. We'll find out more next week. Thanks for listening.